At the time we're recording this in December 2025, Christmas is coming. Want to know the expressions that people use in Spanish-speaking countries at Christmas time? And what traditions Spanish-speaking people have at this special time of year? Well, stick around because we're talking all things Navidad, Christmas in Español. Welcome to Spanglish Friends, the podcast for true beginner Spanish learners.
Hola amigos, I'm Val, your experienced Spanish teacher and co-host from Venezuela.
And I'm Em, your Australian co-host who's been learning Spanish for 10 years.
We'll help you get confident listening and speaking beginner Spanish with content you can actually use in real-life conversations.
Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow us on socials at Spanglish_friends. Let's get started.
Comencemos.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad. Do 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 do.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
I wanna wish you Merry Christmas, everyone! Feliz Navidad!
Feliz Navidad, amigos, and welcome to Spanglish Friends. Welcome to our last episode of 2025. Episodio 41. Can you imagine that?
I can't believe we've made 41 episodes this year. How exciting it's been since we launched in March 2025. Your Profe Val and I are super excited to be taking, I would say, a much-deserved break over Navidad, over Christmas. But we wanted, before we headed off, to share in the holiday joy with you all before we break, talking about Navidad, Christmas in Español.
Exactamente. We are focusing on Christmas and la Navidad, the words, phrases, traditions that beginner actually need in Spanish. So, amigos, by the end of this episode, you'll be able to talk about Christmas in Spanish, wish people Merry Christmas, and even share something about your own Christmas celebration in your country.
Yes, and as always, we have 3 questions to guide our learning in our mini Spanish lesson, which are pregunta número 1. How is Christmas celebrated in some Spanish-speaking countries? Pregunta número 2. What phrases do people use at Christmas time en español, in Spanish? And pregunta número 3. What are the most important or common Christmas vocab you need to know as a beginner?
Nice. And let's start, as always, with our conversación pequeña, con nuestra conversación, our mini conversation, so you can hear some Christmas phrases in action before we dive into the theory you need to know.
Yes, and in today's conversation, Val and I are going to be speaking about our plans for the holidays for Christmas. Have a listen out for any familiar words. Try to recognize a couple, write them down to prove to yourself that, yes, your Spanish listening skills have improved in 2025. And we're going to introduce some new Christmas vocab, so stay tuned for that too. Are you ready, Profe Val, for our last conversation of 2025?
Estoy lista. Vamos a comenzar nuestra conversación. Comencemos.
Val, feliz Navidad. ¿Qué vas a hacer para esta Navidad?
Ay, gracias, Emi. Bueno, para esta Navidad voy a pasar la Nochebuena con mi familia y vamos a comer hallacas y turrón.
¡Qué rico! Yo voy a decorar el árbol de Navidad y cantar villancicos.
Eso suena divertido. ¿Y vas a dar regalos a tu familia también?
Sí, pequeños regalos para la familia. ¿Y tú?
Sí, también voy a dar regalos. Me encanta dar regalos y ver a todos juntos compartiendo.
Did you catch some new phrases, some new holiday phrases, friends? Words like Nochebuena, Árbol de Navidad, villancicos, and regalos. This is all our new Christmas vocab that we're going to start unpacking right now.
That brings us naturally to our first question, which is, how is Christmas celebrated in Spanish-speaking countries? ¿Cómo celebramos la Navidad?
Yes, obviously we're not going to be able to cover every Spanish-speaking country, but here's an overview that Val and I have put together from some of the traditions that we're aware of. One of the most important celebrations is La Nochebuena. La Nochebuena is Christmas Eve, December 24th, okay? In some English-speaking countries like Australia, where I live, people will commonly celebrate Christmas and give presents on the 25th during the day. But the 24th, La Noche Buena, is often the big day or the big night of celebration for people in the Spanish-speaking countries. Isn't that right, Val?
That's right. Is the 24th for us, or at least most of Spanish-speaking countries. Family often have like a big meal together. We do this in Venezuela. We prepared even the meal beforehand, like 1 week before we prepare the things.
Wow.
And that day also, some families might sing villancicos, which are the Christmas carols, and exchange gifts as well with our family and friends. Some countries like Spain, they celebrate El Gordo. That's interesting. It's the big Christmas lottery, which is super interesting
Yes.
event, and highly recommend people to research. There are lots of posadas, reenactments of Mary and Joseph, search for shelter, the nativity and scene. We say El Pesebre. So even though traditions vary around the world, the focus is usually on family, religion, food, music, and gift. It's a great opportunity to use the Spanish words while you're talking about something you already enjoy.
That's right. And this leads perfectly into our second question about phrases. What phrases do people use at Christmas time in Espanol, Profe Val?
The most common greeting are Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, which you hear used in our conversation. She said, Val, Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas. And our second is Feliz Año Nuevo, Happy New Year. And Feliz Nochebuena is also sometimes common to hear, Happy Christmas Eve.
You can also say expressions to wish someone well over the Christmas period. For example, que tengas una feliz Navidad. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, a happy Christmas. You can also say que pases un buen día con tu familia. I hope you have a great day with your family. Two very simple phrases you can say in a conversation, or if you're writing a Christmas card to someone in Spanish, you could write these phrases down. Que tengas una feliz Navidad or que pases un buen día con tu familia.
Finally, our third question of the day is, what is the most important or common Christmas vocabulary you need to know as a beginner? ¿Cuál es el vocabulario de Navidad que deberíamos aprender?
That's right. So here's a quick list of words that beginners might find useful when talking about Christmas in Espanol. We have the árbol de Navidad, okay? That's the Christmas tree, árbol de Navidad. We have regalo, which is a gift, villancicos, which are Christmas carols, Nochebuena, we've learnt is Christmas Eve, and reunión familiar is like a family gathering.
Now, to talk about this man who brings gift to the kids, we say Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. But he also has so many other names throughout the Spanish-speaking world. Some people call him Papa Noel, Papa Noel. Others, people like in Chile, they call him Viejito Pascuero, which is such a random word. And I'm sure there are other names for Santa in Spanish too. So if you know other names for Santa in Spanish, pop them in the comments to share them with your fellow Spanglish friends.
Exactamente. You can mix and match these words to make simple sentences as well. With this vocabulary, let's try to put them into sentence. For example, you could say, voy a decorar el árbol de Navidad. Voy a decorar el árbol de Navidad. I'm going to decorate, voy a decorar the Christmas tree, el árbol de Navidad. You could also say, voy a dar regalos. Voy a dar regalos. I'm going to give presents. Another, cantamos villancicos en familia. We sing carols in my family. That's enough to start talking about Christmas confidently with this handy vocabulary. You could say, voy a cantar, voy a decorar. I'm going to sing, I'm going to decorate. Or you could also say, voy a cocinar. I'm going to cook la comida navideña, the Christmas food.
That's right. And you brought up some Christmas food from Venezuela as well in our conversation. What did you bring up, Profe Val?
I brought hallacas. This is the most common dish we eat just in Christmas. We don't eat it in any other month, just in December. And it's very special because we meet with our whole family and we start preparing the things. And it's very beautiful.
Very prepared. We love it. And if you have a Christmas tradition that you follow, why don't you pop that in the comments as well? Try expressing that in Spanish, like voy a cocinar, and then insert the name of your traditional country's dish in that sentence. Voy a cocinar and that dish. Awesome, Profe Val. Let's quickly recap before we do our reto de la semana, our challenge of the week, those 3 things we learned today so they stick in your mind. Tell us what we learned today.
Nuestras 3 cosas clave, our 3 key learning things are the most important traditions in Spanish-speaking country often is celebrated in Nochebuena, Christmas Eve.
That's right. And secondly, you learned some key phrases at Christmas time to say in Espanol.
We learned Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, Feliz Nochebuena, Happy Christmas Eve, and Feliz Año Nuevo, Happy New Year.
And finally, we're committing to memory some Christmas vocab,
including Árbol de Navidad, Christmas tree, regalo, gift, or you could also say in plural, regalos, villancico, the Christmas carol, Nochebuena, Christmas Eve, reunión familiar, the family gathering.
Now let's put what you've learned today into practice right away to commit it to memory with our reto de la semana, our challenge of the week, which is to head to the comments and write a short sentence about how you celebrate Christmas using some of the words or phrases we've learnt today. Any of the sentence structures, or wish people a happy Christmas, Feliz Navidad. Tell us about what you're going to cook, what you're going to do. You could use the sentence structure voy a plus the action you're going to do as well.
For example, voy a pasar la Navidad con mi familia. I'm going to spend Christmas, la Navidad, with my family, con mi familia. Post your sentence in the comments and we would love to give a shout out to those who get involved in an upcoming episode.
Yes, and we want to know about Christmas traditions all over the world with our podcast, which is fantastic. We get to learn too, Profe Val. Speaking of gifts, your comments are honestly the best gift that Val and I receive every single week. And this week's Spanglish Friends Shoutout goes to Ohemaa, who commented on one of our videos on TikToks. She said she's from Ghana and she really loves our content. That's amazing.
That's amazing. Well done, amiga, and muchísimas gracias por escucharnos. Thank you so much for following us and supporting the show.
Yes. So, amigos, that is officially a wrap on Spanglish Friends for 2025. Woohoo! A huge and sincere thank you for turning in, for helping us to be one of the Spotify most popular growing shows of 2025. And it means so much to Val and I, who write, produce, and edit this podcast on top of our day jobs. It really means the world to us. And we're so delighted when people comment to tell us all of the wonderful learnings that they're taking from our show.
Absolutely, amigos. Muchísimas gracias de verdad a todos. Like, truly, thank you so much to everyone who is listening and supporting this show, this podcast. This means the world to us. Em and I are going to take a well-deserved 2 weeks break over the holiday period and catch you again in the new year. If you have topics as a beginner that you would love us to deep dive into, clarify, or discuss in upcoming episodes, send us a DM on Instagram or email us, which is in our description, or you can send a comment here in this episode, for example. We would love to continue making content that are going to help you take your Spanish to the next level this year and the next year too.
That's right. A sincere well done again for putting in the time, continuing your Spanish learning journeys throughout 2025. We're going to catch you en el Año Nuevo. Have a great holiday season, everyone.
Merry Christmas, friends, and spend a great time with your family. Hasta luego. Hasta el próximo año. Thanks for listening to Spanglish Friends. We're both so proud of the time you're investing to level up your Spanish skills.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, follow us, leave a rating, or tell a friend about the show. It helps our awesome community grow.
Join fellow beginner Spanish learners by following us on Instagram and TikTok at Spanglish_friends.
Congratulations on taking another step in your Spanish learning journey.
Hasta la próxima, amigos.